people in mental institutions think the CIA or other agencies have put microchips in their head or other ideas. The man was arguing why the claim shouldn't be dismissed. He said, "It's precisely because such delusions are so common that mental patients make the best test subjects." And it's pretty accurate. The subjects are stuck in one place, constantly observed, and their concerns aren't taken seriously. How could someone know? Imagine being in a place where people trap you there for your own safety, and refusing their rules leads to more isolation. And then add onto that the idea that you can't trust your own thoughts. It's a scary place to be. Next, at number 4 is Inside. This one comes from Atheist Comic. There was a patient with severe brain damage that was kept locked in a padded cell naked. She wasn't given access to anything that she could put in her mouth. This is because she would try to eat it every single time. She would eat anything. The examples given were styrofoam cups, plastic cutlery, and plates. Then one time on a full moon, she snuck a plastic spoon from a tray on the way to the bathroom, and with it she plucked one of her eyes out. This was despite her restraints and attendance, and in the end, they found the eyeball in her stomach. As I said, she ate everything. Next up at number 3, Hide the Knives. A tech in psych years ago shared their experience too. They met a 7-year-old kid who was sent there because the mother was afraid of her own son. She kept finding mutilated animals in their backyard, and neighbors' pets were disappearing. Also, the young boy hid knives around the house and then lied about it to his mom. Then, if they ever had an argument, the boy would get violent and threaten to kill his mother. She would also wake up to him standing beside her bed and staring at her, and so she set up locks on her bedroom door after that. She brought him in after she discovered over 50 knives hidden under his mattress. The people in the hospital described him as robotic in the way he talked. It was as if he was saying what he expected people were wanting to hear. He looked through people, not at them. The person who posted this story believes they met a 7-year-old psychopath. At number 2, Teacher. So as a pharmacy tech, one of this person's job was to dispense patients' medications. As a 5'2" woman, just like me, she was accompanied by either a male nurse or a security guard. That was for safety reasons. But other than a death grip on her arm or a manic outburst every once in a while, she didn't face many issues. There was one 9-year-old boy who was always polite to her and found something to compliment about her every single time they met. He was also well-spoken and nice, so she began to look forward to saying hi to him, and that was until other female nurses saw. They asked if she was out of her mind. Apparently, when he was in kindergarten, he grew very attached to his young female teacher. He began calling her mom and left notes saying he wished he was her son. His home life was normal, and the teacher said she couldn't be his mom because that would hurt his real mom's feelings. He already had a good mom. So he went home and killed his own mother in her sleep by cutting her throat. And this was all so his teacher could be his mom. The female staff at the hospital then, after knowing that story, had a general rule of not interacting with him too much to prevent any kind of attachment from forming. At number 1 is Cockroach. So this one is not for the faint of heart, just warning you. One person's dad told them a story of a time he pulled a cockroach out of someone's tongue. What the doctors assume happened is that the patient ate roach eggs along with something else that cut their tongue. This unique situation let the egg embed itself in the tongue and hatch there. So the person was admitted with a horrible looking tongue that needed to be dissected so the doctor could take out a still squirming cockroach. And on that note, that is the end of top 10 most terrifying mental hospital stories. Again, links to resources or phone numbers will be down below. I've been your host Abby, and until next time, it gets better. Goodbye.
What's up, Top 10 fam? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host, Eamon Hassan, and welcome back to another video. And I honestly feel like after working at Top 10 for over a year and a bit now, I've probably read every Ouija board story there is out there, but that doesn't mean you guys have heard all of them and you seem to love them. You guys loved part 1 that I did with Jared. He's not back for the sequel, unfortunately, but I sure am. These are the top 10 scary Ouija boards that destroyed lives, part 2. Starting us off at number 10, we have The Spirit. This one's from Reddit user Gothsby29, who shared that this occurred a few days after her ex had lost his friend in an airplane crash. The couple took out the Ouija board to use it, and the friend was very present, very scared, and very much wanting to communicate. Now the duo got a bit freaked out and decided to stop using it, and as soon as they did, the user felt this presence in the corner of the room. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes, and all of a sudden the planchette started moving around the board, spelling words on its own. Exhausted and now drained, the user took a nap, and 30 exact minutes later she brought bolted out of bed because she saw the skeletal spirit standing in the corner of the room. The spirit ran at her and started screaming with a massive black mouth. The user obviously started screaming and her boyfriend woke up and tried to get it off her, but then she just ran straight out of the house. Coming in at number 9 is the Mars Volta. Now, the Mars Volta was an American progressive rock band that were active from 2001 to 2012. The guitarist of the band, Omar, bought an antique Ouija board at a flea market in Jerusalem as a birthday gift for lead singer of the band, Cedric. Now, the two started playing with the board in the tour bus after their shows, and they ended up contacting a spirit named Goliath. Its responses were innocent at first, but Omar got nervous since Goliath started making threatening demands, and Cedric was getting more and more obsessed with contacting him. Omar ended up secretly burying the board, but that did nothing to stop Goliath. It usually never does. The band started being terrorized with mishaps and chaos after that point. Equipment started having severe problems, Omar's studio was wiped out in a freak flood, their drummer quit, and Cedric suffered from a critical foot injury. All this happened in such a short period of time, and it all happened after Omar got rid of the Ouija board, that he was convinced that these things were happening because of Goliath. And boy, you are not wrong. At number 8 we have The Cause. This one was shared by Redditor Overdose Baby Blue, who said her mum always used to warn her about using Ouija boards because of what she went through herself. The mum shared that during one instance of using a Ouija board, the spirit they were talking to seemed quite violent and actually had it in for her. She shrugged it off and got in her car to go home as everything was normal. But as she was driving home, a horse literally appeared out of nowhere and started running towards her car. The mum ended up hitting it and killing it in a very gruesome way, but she was 100% sure it was to do with the Ouija board, because how the hell would a random black horse appear in the middle of the city in the afternoon? That is not a usual habitat for horses. Like, where'd you come from? Filling on a 7th slot is the Ancient Spirit. This one comes from Reddit user Tessa B4, who said her and her friend met a female spirit through their Ouija board that claimed she was 40 years old when she died. She was born in 91 BC and spoke a now dead language, so the user and her friend could only ask yes or no questions. Turns out the way she died was absolutely horrible. Her own mother poisoned her and she had no idea why. The users then asked if that was all she wanted to share with them, and it was. Guess when you've been holding on to something like that for so long, you're just good with telling anyone who's willing to listen. Now at number 6 is 10 Hours. So this one was shared by Reddit user Lena Resden, who shared when they were about 14 or 15, they played with the Ouija board quite often. One night at 9 PM, she was playing with her friend and started getting some very bizarre responses. The user couldn't remember them now since the incident happened 27 years ago, but the entity did say that he was from Malaysia and that he was there to protect them. That's apparently the last thing they remembered, because they blinked and it was suddenly 7 AM. They didn't go to bed or something, they just literally lost 10 hours of their life and they have no idea what happened in that time or where that time even went. Neither of them remembered. They just looked at each other and boom, 7 AM. Like, excuse me? I want those 10 hours of my life back. Coming in at number 5 is Get the Boy. This was shared by an anonymous Redditor who said their friend mentioned that they had a Ouija board, so they decided to mess with it. Big no-no, my friend. Now initially their friend said no, but then she warmed up to the idea and agreed to get it out as long as she didn't have to participate. The user set it up and asked if anyone was there and got no response. Then, trying to be a cool teenager as they all are, they said if anything is in here and not talking, you're a coward. And again, after getting no response, they just put the board away. About a week later, the user was sleeping during a thunderstorm. How very cliche, I know. They woke up midway to complete darkness and tried going back to sleep. 30 seconds later, they heard someone or something whisper "Get the boy" in a very raspy voice. Thinking it was them just hearing things, the user went back to sleep to then hear "Get the boy" much louder before hearing a door slam shut downstairs. He up and got the hell out of there because he was the only one at home at the time, so we're not trying to mess with anyone. No Ouija entity, no. At number 4 is The Evidence. Now this one was shared by Byfon,